What's up, everybody? Metal Dave Glessner here, along with my co-host Jason McMaster, bringing you another episode of the Talk Louder podcast. Our guest today is Metal Church singer Marc Lopes. Marc joins us to talk about the band's latest album, Congregation of Annihilation. Tells us a little bit about how he got the gig. He's also the singer for Ross the Boss. Ross, of course, from Manowar fame. He's also got a band called Let Us Pray. So, got numerous things going on, Metal Church being the priority. Just got back from a tour. He tells us a little bit about that. And he shared a stage with Jason in Germany at the Keep It True Festival when Watchtower performed as direct support to Metal Church, who was direct support for Udo Dirkschneider. So you guys got to know each other real quick. And
yeah, it was a bit of a whirlwind, and then come to find later on throughout, hanging for a few hours that we'd actually shared the stage about 10 years ago in this project he had called Cobra Kai. Played with us and with Dangerous Toys in Boston like 10 years ago, and he said something in a meeting, in our recent hang. He said something that's, I was like, wait a minute, weren't you? Yeah, didn't, like, I put it together, and he was like, holy shit, I don't even remember that, because he goes, I was drinking back then, and holy shit, so there's this kind of brother from another mother thing happening, this complete spotted relationship we may or may not have had already that we've put together, and he's a great guy.
Yeah,
you can tell he's just super fun and high energy.
Honest too. He doesn't mind. He doesn't mind telling you, where he slipped and where he fell, and what that he's nervous and all that stuff, which is great.
He really cares about what his role is, about what his job is, because he really wants to hit it on the nail. He doesn't want to miss the nail. He wants to get it right. And the guy's winning. I think that he's got just super promising straight line, to the heavens. So great singer too. I'd never heard of him until you mentioned him and mentioned that we were going to have him on the show. Not on my radar either until recently, and I have to admit, I can't. You and I both. I'll throw us both in the bucket. Can't. I mean, we're just being straight. It's not our fault that we don't know who Ross the Boss's singer's name. We don't know who that guy is, but holy shit, I saw Metal Church, and this guy, is holy shit. And next thing you know, he sounds great on the new record, Congregation of Annihilation, the latest Metal Church album with Marc Lopes on vocals. Looks like this, for those of you watching and not listening. It's on Rat Pack Records, which is the same label as Todd Latoure's solo project.
Right. So, I was happy that you were able to get him booked on the show and that he was able to join us. Great singer, great guy, Marc Lopes from Metal Church on the Talk Louder podcast.
All right.
How's it going? What are you up to right now? I know you just got off the road.
Yeah, I just got off the road. I'm just back here at my homestead here in California. One of my homesteads.
Right.
My second homestead.
Right.
First homestead.
Yeah. Yeah, I live part-time here in Marina Del Rey, and then I live on the East Coast in Massachusetts.
All right. Jason told me about this.
So let's just start with that shit and how I even met you.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because it's kind of being let's do this. Metal Church has actually, and because this way Dave can jump in. Metal Church is kind of, Dave, you recognize and realize that Metal Church, just general, has been on our radar and in our conversation, on our lip service kind of thing, for a month now or something. Yeah. I mean, our last guest that we had a couple days ago, Rick Fox, is in a band with Stet.
Right.
And anyway, I just thought it's been interesting, all because of Keep It True.
Yes.
Because I came back and, it was like, oh, fucking Metal Church and Metal Lucifer and fucking Enforcer and Udo and blah, 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 and then the toys thing and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that story's been told. Let's talk about you growing up a little bit and not, you don't have to talk about elementary school. Unless something traumatic happened that you want to talk about and we can comfort you. What's your relation to New Bedford?
Oh, that's where I born and raised, in New Bedford. That's where I call home still. And I just been get into metal at a really early. Everything changed in 1982 when I saw Iron Maiden Run to the Hills on MTV, and I was like, "Oh man, that's really cool." Yeah. I'm like, Bruce is running around, and I'm like, I kind of dig that. I think. Although it's funny though, because I played drums for a long time, and then always having singers in the band they never worked out. And I got into like writing, and I always sang anyways because I was in choir and all that stuff when I was younger. And then I ended up having my poor brother kicked out of the band so I could sing.
So your brother was the singer.
Dude.
Yeah, that's hell. Sorry, bro. Literally.
He had cooler hair, but that was it. Sorry, dude.
Did you blame it on? I've heard you talk about your brother in good ways.
Yeah.
Was it because? I mean, did you blame it on the other guys in the band? Those dudes don't like you. You know me. I'm your bro. I mean, of course, I want you in the band.
I don't know. I mean, that was a long time ago. I don't remember.
Well, when you're kids, you don't really know how to manage that kind of shit, So
yeah, I was just like, nah, I mean, because I was writing all the tunes and writing all the vocal parts, and I was like, I'm trying to interpret this. It's ridiculous. So I'll just do it myself. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that kind of came about. So, and then I finally got off the drums and then decided just to sing.
Well, did you take any drum lessons? Were you in?
I was actually pretty freaking good.
But you said you did a lot of choir. I mean, did you? So was it?
When I was younger, and I went to voice lessons and all that stuff. Yeah.
Was it church choir or just like school stuff?
School choir stuff.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Do you remember any training that like was long lasting from those days? Yeah, I don't think so. I was in choir either, and it was a jip. It was a jip. I didn't come off of that with anything,
No. I think once I just started to sing, then I started going to proper voice lessons.
Okay.
With a proper instructor, and that's how that whole journey started. So
yeah. And
what age is this? What age are you at the time that you're starting to take this, seriously and get some formal training, instruction, etc.?
18.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
that's still quite young in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, that's when I was like, I want to be a rock star.
Well, whatever you call it, what you want. I mean, you wanted to use your voice in a way that wasn't what they were trying to talk to you about in proper choir.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So back to drums just real quick. Do you still write from a drummer's aspect when you write a song? Do you have
I have my own band called Let Us Pray, and I write all the drums, all of it.
Even though you're the singer.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, but I'm the singer. I arrange everything. I produce everything.
Okay. All right.
I record everything. a little bit more than the singer role.
Well, there's a lot of, that's okay. I'm not, why would I get mad at something like that?
I wanted to bring this together real quick as we're getting started here. So Jason tells me, Mark, that you guys suddenly have a very quick history, and it's because of Jason mentioned the Keep It True festival. So
it's all their fault.
Jason's band Watchtower flies to Germany to play in front of Metal Church, who is playing in front of Udo Dirkschneider. So you three bands are sort of top of the bill at Keep It True on this particular day.
Yeah.
And then you and Jason met. And so were you aware of Jason either through Watchtower or Dangerous Toys at that time, or did you guys kind of just meet there in Germany and kind of bond a little bit? And then tell us a couple weeks later, a month later, he's in your hometown with Dangerous Toys. So kind of bring this whole circle together for our listeners.
No, that's a fun story because I've loved Watchtower since, back when they came out, and I never saw them live. Right. So, schedules are all crazy and playing all these things. And I remember looking at because I'm more than anything, I'm always a fan, So every time we play a festival, I'm like, oh, who's playing? Because a lot of times I get to see bands I never would get to see here ever, or I've never seen, I've never had the opportunity. So Watchtower was on the thing, and I was like, oh my God. I wonder if they're playing the same day as us. Now kind of, like I said, things get hectic. We were traveling a lot and stuff. And all of a sudden and somebody goes, yeah, Watchtower's playing, the Saturday you're playing. And I'm like, fucking awesome, And I'm like, of course, then it's like, well, when they play, and so I kind of, you lose track. We were running super late. We had problems with our flights. So we had a signing to do, and we were going to do the signing, and then we weren't going to be able to do the signing. And then the last minute we were going to do the signing. It was all kind of crazy. So finally we're standing in the lobby. We're like, are we doing the signing? Where is everybody? So finally they come get us. Luckily the venue is really close. We walk in, and all of a sudden, all right, well, go to the, put your stuff in the back, go to the sign. All of a sudden, here comes Watchtower. I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, and I felt bad because we had a really short signing time because we were late. And like people are going through the line, and I'm on the end, and I'm like watching the show. And I'm like, dude, I'm wicked sorry. I go, but like, I've never seen Watchtower, bro. Thank you. Blah, 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 blah. And you guys are playing, and I'm jamming. I'm signing stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is fucking great. Controller resistor, all these stuff. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. So then it's like, all right, well, hurry up. We're going to go play. So everybody's getting their stuff ready. It's mayhem as usual. Jason comes walking out the thing, and I'm like, oh, dude, totally fucking awesome show and totally cool. And he goes, oh, I'm wicked psyched to see you. And that was it. We play.
It's true.
Yeah, and that was it. So we play, and, Kurt comes up to me later in the day or the next day, and he goes, dude, Jason, he was so psyched he got to see the show. He said he really liked it and all this other stuff. And I was like, oh, cool, man. And I go, I think they're playing back home. I'm going home next week, back to Massachusetts. He goes, oh, I go, maybe you can see if, I can chat with him, maybe when we get there or something. And that's kind of like how that whole ball rolled, and then, Kurt connected us, and, we ended up talking up on the phone the day before for a while, and realized that we have way too much in common. And then, we hung out the next day, and then we realized that we had already played together. We didn't even know it.
Which is fill us in. What was it called?
Yeah. So I was talking to him. I said, hey, I go, all my dudes from Shadows Fall. And I said, those are my boys. I go, known those guys for years. I go, we had an 80s fun tribute band that we used to do for fun called Cobra Kai. And he goes, wait a minute. He goes, we play with you guys. And I'm like, and he described the place, and I'm like, oh my God, you're right. I go, I don't remember because I was always drunk back then. I go, I vaguely remember, and I go, boy, I must have not left much under impression because you don't remember me either.
No, I didn't. And it was 10. Well, and it was 10 years ago, Mark. Wasn't that like 10 fucking years ago?
Yeah, but I mean, it was a shit show. You know what I mean? Our whole purpose was, the whole purpose of the band was like, hey, let's play Poison and all these ridiculous covers that none of us have ever played, and do it, see how drunk we can get and still play it. That was the whole idea of the band.
That sounds kind of fun. I mean, there's a lot of those
at the time.
There's a lot of those kind of things happening now, and it's just a lot of fun, and there's no rules and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So Cobra Kai, you said that, and you probably remember as we're sitting there chatting about it, I'm like, hold on a second, you had a band with the Shad guys. What? Wait a minute. Didn't you open for? And you were like, oh, surely not. And then my eyes got big and your eyes got big, and it was like wasn't it like a tribute band? Oh shit! It was kind of Dave. It was one of those moments. So we've actually played together twice, not once, and then we hung out at the toy show in New Bedford a few weeks back, and that's how that goes.
That's crazy. I mean, you guys bump into each other in Germany, and a few weeks later, Jason's in your hometown with Dangerous Toys, and you guys get to hang out again. Wow.
And world. And to be honest, I mean, I really didn't know jack about Mark other than what I have found out recently, and saw him sing, and heard him sing, and obviously had seen him 10 years ago. And, it's a cover band. You can't, cool. Matt and John, high five, who's this dude singing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look, true.
But now I'm just as a singer and where we are right now, and because we can jump all over the place in this shit, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You just got off the road with Metal Church. Of course, we want to talk about how you hooked up with Metal Church, and we want to talk about Ross the Boss. Mm-hmm. And this new Metal Church record is kind of blowing my mind. I got this at Purchase Street. There in New Bedford, I guess, right? Do they still call that part of town New Bedford?
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
And everyone needs to get this. It's on Rat Pack, Metal Church, Congregation of Annihilation, and I've been spinning it. You and I spoke. I was wondering which vinyl I got, and it's this kind of camo shit.
Oh, that one, the gold spire, that one's
whatever. Vomit. One side has vomit. One side's just black. It's got vomit on one side.
Oh, that's weird. It's clear. It's black on the other side.
I mean, pretty much. There's a couple of little. I mean, the vomit flipped over on the other side.
It kind of bleeds through a little.
Yeah. I totally dig that look, though. It looks camo to me.
Yeah. I don't know what they call it.
That works. That works for
it works.
For the whole
they just
thing.
Put a bunch of colored vinyl and say, "Hey, cool. Here you go."
Congratulations on the record. From what I understand, it's doing great.
Yes.
And way beyond your expectations. You just got off the road. Just, throw some stuff back at us on your experience with this.
As far as the road goes, it's interesting. It's like, I try to explain to people, you can rehearse till your tongue falls off with the stuff, and which I did for months and months leading up to the tour and the whole 9 yards after doing the record. I mean, obviously I have this huge responsibility to do the back catalog, which I've already experienced doing it with Ross, but in a different way. And I was ready. I was massively prepared for the shit talk, and the whole, it ain't David Wayne, it ain't Mike Howard. I was like, I get to the point where I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I mean, not that I'm saying that was the case, but I'm just saying I was kind of prepared for it. But, you can't move forward worrying about what other people think. That's just one of those things. You do the best as you can. And, if it's true and it's passionate, that's all you can do. I know what I can do, and I know what I put into it. And that's really what matters. And hope people like it. So, when we, you can rehearse and rehearse. And of course, when you hit the stage, it's a whole different beast. Nerves set in, your mind plays tricks on you. You suddenly don't know the words, and all these other things. So like, from the first show in May up until last week, the difference is night and day. I always call it the best way to learn anything. I'm a firm believer. It's trial by fire. You can't be afraid to fail. And, you just, you fail, you fall, you get back up, and you do it better the next time. That's all you can do. So they're definitely the first batch of shows. I remember sitting with my vocal instructor, and he's like, dude, you're like, I like suddenly felt like I couldn't sing for real. He's like, dude, do this. I'm like, yeah, you're hitting and he goes, you're so tense that like, basically like you're caving yourself in. And that's what it felt like for the first couple of runs. It was like, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I was freaking out. I'm like, am I going to be able to do this? I'm so fucking nervous, man. I'm like, I'm choking myself out,
Right. Did you feel like you were sort of someone was stepping on your windpipe? You were running out of air.
Like somebody was on my chest at all times, and it was like every time I was like, what? And what's going on here? It felt like I just didn't even know what I was doing anymore. And it was just like a really wicked head game.
You mean technique?
Yeah. It was just like, it's like all of a sudden I forgot how to sing. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, this is fucking weird. And it was all self-imposed. Absolutely 100%.
Yeah, that's in your head, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it'll play tricks. But as I started to finally kind of loosen up and let it go and mentally train myself in a different manner, things, evidently, they got better. And I remember we were in Europe for the first time, and we had done Alcatraz Fest, which is a big one. And that was weird. The crowd was kind of weird. The show was cool, but it was kind of a weird vibe. And I remember having a real complex because I was like, man, they didn't like it because it was just a dull reaction. But sometimes that's how festival crowds can be. It depends on where you play. Whereas you go to Spain, it's like playing at a club. Sometimes you go to other countries, it's like everybody's just judging, Yeah. But I remember the next show we were playing in Denmark, and for whatever reason, the stars lined up and everything opened, and it was like, now that's what it's supposed to feel like. And the whole band felt it because we were all in the same boat. It was all new. It's a whole new chemistry. I mean, here I am, a guy coming into a lineup that's gone through some terrible things, and and now they got this different guy singing. And I mean, I can only imagine, you know what I mean? From that angle. So I still didn't feel like I was my footing wasn't there. I wasn't comfortable, and still getting to know everybody, and then you catapult to the last couple of runs that we just did, which was in Malta and Poland and Germany. I keep it true. And you saw the show. It was night and day. It was like I now am comfortable. You know what I mean? I feel like a part of the band, and I'm getting my mojo, and everybody's been very welcoming, and the fans, we do the meet and greets every night with everybody, and it's been very important because you get that instant feedback. It's great. It's like, I'm a big advocate. Hey, if you're not digging it, just it's cool. It's all right, man. I hate yes people. If you're not digging it, it's cool, man. I'll listen to what you have to say. Whatever the case may be. That's cool.
Well, all they have to do is listen to the record, and if they're hating on it, they ain't listening to it. I mean, really listening to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because Kurt's riffs are Kurt's riffs.
Right.
They go and they go and they go till it's the first record and the first release and the first gig that was Metal Church with the OG lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So if you come to current times and you go back, the common denominator, Kurt wrote, when Kurt was not touring with the band, he was still writing with the band.
Yep.
So when you think, and a lot of people may or may not realize that Kurt is the constant conduit of Metal Church, and I feel like it's it's the riffage. So I totally appreciate you being straight and honest, and actually starting with your stumbles and your falls and your personal conflict on how it's going to be perceived, and that you obviously care so much that it hurts being, well, you're choking yourself out. As you said,
exactly. Yes, exactly.
You're straining by mental depression.
Right.
Not like you're depressed. You're not depressed, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yep.
And I get that, and I understand that. And it just makes me think, Dave, please hold that, because I just want to throw in, Mark Tornillo and the Accept thing. There's people that still think Udo has been a member of Accept for 25 years, and he hasn't. I mean, they've made 8 records now with Mark.
Right.
It's kind of crazy. And so I would imagine that first time that he jumped into Germany with and said Accept behind his head, that people were like this, folding their arms and going, what the, who is this guy? Come on.
Right, exactly.
And then they won him over. I feel like the same thing's happening in Metal Church.
It's definitely feeling it for sure, because, I know that, obviously the first bunch of shows, I mean, I am not a big I don't read the press. I don't read reviews, all that. And sometimes I stumble upon them because people will tag me and I unknowingly will look at it. And, hey, for the most, I will say, honestly, for the 96% or probably more has nothing been love and optimism. And that's great. And, you're always going to get those, those total, keyboard warriors and stuff, which is fine. You know what I mean? I always kind of chuckle at that stuff. But, hey, I'll tell you right now, no one is a bigger critic than myself. I'll be the first one to go, well, that wasn't right. That's not cool. That isn't it. It was funny. I was with my vocal coach a couple of weeks ago, and, I love him because he's totally upfront. And we were going over a couple of things, and I was laughing because everything that he picked, I picked the same thing. I was like, yep, this, and this. And I'm like, well, what do we do here? And so I already, I can tell you, I already know myself, and I mean, I am out there to try to give the best possible performance and respect to everything that we do. I'm more concerned about the back catalog than my own stuff, because it's my own stuff. I mean, I can go wherever I want with it because it's, I wrote it and I know. And, I have my own thing, and obviously I want to pay respect, obviously, to the original content of the stuff that I have to do, which is the bulk of the legacy of the band. Fortunately, David Wayne has been a huge influence of mine from the beginning, so I guess by my fortune, I had that certain quality that resonated and stuck with that. By the grace of the God, that's great, because there's not much effort to do that, because it's what I do anyways. And then I just put my own spin of things, So within the context of this band, it works really well. And that's what seems to be resonating really well with the fans. And as the tour's going on and time's going on, it's getting better. I mean, all of our, the U.S. market for this band was never really that big over the last bunch of years. And these last tours have been ridiculously packed. Kind of like we'll go into a place of, there's no expectations. And then, 400 people. We're like, whoa, on like a Sunday. Whoa, what? I'm like, I didn't even think anybody cared. You know what I mean? And everybody leaves wild. The lines are long, but doing merch is ridiculous. And that's telling, and now going back to Europe next year and all these things that are coming up, there's a lot of interest now. We went out there and did trial runs. That's why I was never really like a tour. Yeah. Because we didn't know what was going to happen. You know what I mean? We didn't know how it was going to be received. They could have hated it and we'd be all back home. You know what I mean? But
when you're doing clubs, sort of like off the highway, you go down a small road and play a smaller town, if you will, right. And you get 400 people in a little club on a Sunday night. For the style of music that you're presenting that you have out, and that even with a legacy behind the band, that's a good gig. So you have to take all those and you stack a bunch of those up, and that's pretty badass. Now, do you feel like the audience is I mean, just even let's take you out of the mix and it's Mike on vocals, or even, David Wayne on vocals. Do you feel like Metal Church, it was, that in America, in the clubs? Do you think that that's kind of what Metal Church has always, we'll take it. That's us. That's what we get. And then Europe is a bigger deal for Metal Church, or?
I think, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I remember, I remember seeing Metal Church open up for Megadeth at an arena in Connecticut at one of the casinos. This is way back, and I was like, yeah, that's where they belong.
Yeah,
they belong.
I agree.
Doing things. And my personal feeling, I'll take myself out of the equation.
Yeah, that's what.
Absolutely, they should be in the same positioning as Queensryche and Overkill and all those bands, because their legacy is the same. I mean, dude, those first three albums they're iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, the material on those records are just timeless. If you're a metalhead, you know those more than anything.
And those of us who were fucking there, those are no-brainers as far as like thumbing through, I'm going away for the weekend. What are you going to take? Right. Metal Church is going to be in there with the bands you mentioned,
Yep.
Always, no doubt. When you play the game of, the big 4, the big 5, the big 6, the big 7, the big 8, he just starts stacking on Metal Church and Overkill, and there's probably a few more,
Yep.
I just think it's crazy. I want to go back real quick. Dave, I know Dave's been kind of biting his tongue for a second, but you keep saying this shit that I personally want to know about. Back to your vocal coach and your, I guess, prepping and maybe over prepping, and you're saying your vocal coach picked the same things that you did. Were these things that you were uncomfortable with, that you didn't like about your performance? I.e., were you guys listening to the record or demos or what, and making notes on stuff?
Just live videos and stuff. I mean,
okay.
The live videos obviously are just, they're so badly misrepresenting. I mean, I've seen some of the best singers on a live video going, what the fuck is that?
Right.
And then you were at the show going, didn't sound like that. That's kind of how that goes. It can be a weird misconception, You don't
have to tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit, man. I'm going, man, I used to be able to sing. What the fuck happened?
Dude, that's why I don't even, I look at the video and because I'm a video editor too. So sometimes I'll make promo clips and stuff. And sometimes I'll see cool videos that people take. I'll never listen. I'm like, I'm going to hate it no matter what. So I delete the audio track. Because I mean, to me, it's a feel and it's a vibe. If the feel and the vibe are good and the crowd's reacting, it's cool. I'm going to know when something felt a little wank or something like that. It is what it is. And, I want to try to make it better, obviously. I mean, that's why I still work with a vocal coach and will always do that. But I mean, perfection, yeah, sure. If I wanted to stay still in front of my microphone and look at everybody, maybe close my eyes, I probably could nail it perfect. But that's not what I do. You know what I mean? I run around like a man, like I'm possessed.
Yeah.
To me, I'd rather perform.
You want to have fun, and you're putting on a show. It's not, you're not in the studio making this perfect, piece of art. You're creating art by being free and open. Here you go. Love or hate this phrase, it's live rock and roll.
Right.
It's freedom. It's freedom. Right. It's an expression of the moment between the audience member and the band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're
I love it when people go, oh, well, he can't hit those notes. I'm like, oh, dude, whatever.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Yeah. I got this gig because I can't hit the notes. Yeah, I'm sure Kurt hired me for that. Come on, dude.
Yep.
So that was my question. The obvious question here is, how did you tell us about the audition process? And I love the fact that you're telling us your first couple of dates with the band. You're a little nervous, so you are very self-aware. You strike me as a guy who's self-aware, and you'll admit if you were nervous or you were off or whatever. So tell us about, how'd you get the phone call to audition, and then how'd you feel about the audition after you were done, and then what sealed the deal?
Well, it's a wild, kind of a wild story, because it goes. I have known Stet for a billion years, because he's from the Cape, and
okay.
yeah, so he from the same. We rocked the same neighborhoods. You know what I mean? He was, obviously he's older than me, and he was doing a lot more at the time when I was just starting. So he was like the guy. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then of course, when he got into Wasp and all that other stuff, he was like, oh my God, that's the rock star dude now,
Yeah.
And but I've known him for a long time. And as time's gone on and I started doing, more and more, we kind of even connected more. We had a lot more in common to talk about,
Yeah.
So we basically, we played with Metal Church. I played with Metal Church with Ross the Boss at Bang Your Head Festival in Germany. I think it was I want to say 2019. And we, I was all excited. I love Metal Church. So I remember we were playing the same day. They were playing in the day we were playing. We were headlining on another stage. They were playing a different stage outside. So I remember I still have the video of that day, which is fucking wild. I just found it. I forgot I had it. It's pretty crazy. I'm on the side of the stage taking video of them playing, and it was awesome. And they were in Stet, and I started to get to know Steve, bass player. And Stet's like, hey, we're staying to watch you guys play. And I'm like, oh, great. He goes, we're supposed to be leaving, and we were playing with Laurence, saying I'm good friends with Joey.
Yeah.
So, they were like, oh, we're going to come out to the thing. Of course, we're playing late. And they're like, oh, we told our bus driver we're staying. So it's like, oh, cool. Well, so we go to play, and, it was funny because they're all in the front. So here's Armored Saint and Metal Church, and I'm playing, and I'm like, I know they're there. And of course I'm cautious of it, but it just so happened we had a really, really good show that night, which was fantastic, So, that was great. It was good to, Kurt showed up, everybody was there, and they were like, oh, it was a great show, whatever. So that goes about.
And this is with, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is this with, I'm sorry, singing from Metal Church? Singing with Metal Church was Ronnie?
No, it was Mike.
Oh, Mike. It was, okay. So this was, okay. Mike.
This is 2019. Yep.
Okay. So Mike.
It was a Damned If You Do tour. The last record.
All right. Okay.
So I got a call, I don't know, some months later, about possibly, I guess there was some kind of scheduling conflict, and that possibly Mike wasn't going to be able to do a couple of festival appearances. And they were like, would you be interested in doing it? And of course, I'm like, hell yeah, of course. Nothing ever came of it. But it was, it was nice to be even mentioned and asked,
Oh my God, yeah.
So I was like, wow, that's cool. And of course, at the time, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, how am I going to do this, man? I forgot that stuff. It's not like you can do that shit just in a whim. I'm like, fuck, I better start going over a couple of these songs. You know what I mean? Just in case,
I can relate. You're worrying about it. You're worrying about it before the phone rang.
Yeah, exactly. I was worried about it before even they was like, oh, can you do the gig? I was just like it was great. I mean, I was always into when I'm doing my own rehearsals, it's always fun to do something different, So
Sure.
I guess I did that into my rehearsal for fun, not thinking that how much that was going to come in handy later. Right. Anyways, so then all of a sudden the whole world shuts down, the whole 9 yards. And then, I hear like everybody else, that Mike had passed away. And I was like, my heart just went, I was like, whoa. I'm like, that's fucked up. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, there's no way that band's going to go on after all this stuff that they've been through. I'm like, it's kind of, you think after all this time, it's got like, maybe that was a sign to say, hey, let's, maybe we should call it. This would be a good time to end it on this note,
Yeah.
But that was, I remember talking to Stet, and everybody was in disbelief, and, obviously. Time goes, and I get a call, and they're like, hey, what's going on? And when I got the call, I kind of had this really weird feeling. I was like, they're going to ask me to play. I don't know how I feel about this. Now, mind you, I didn't pick up the phone yet.
Okay. Wow,
I'm looking at it going, yeah, I know what this is going to be. I got a weird, I'm like, yeah, I have a weird feeling about this, but.
Is it Stet calling?
It's Stet calling.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So that's what the phone call was. And I was like, yeah, man. I'm like, yeah, what am I going to say? No, of course, hanging up the phone in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's a million things going on. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I don't even know how I feel about this because it feels weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I didn't, getting a gig like, like this would be just, it would just felt just, that's how I am. I just was like, wow, man, that's just crazy. I mean, I didn't have the gig yet or anything, but I was just even like the notion of even getting going into it.
Yeah, but there's a tingle kind of a thing where you start.
Oh God, there was absolutely an excitement because here's a band that I grew up
shit.
with.
It's a shit.
This is like, wow, this is big time. What the fuck?
Yeah.
This is crazy, at the same time. And, it was a pretty interestingly long process, which you have to understand. I mean, basically, I get on the phone with Stet, and I started talking to Steve, and then I talked to Kurt, and, Kurt was awesome. And, we kind of like, it was loose, very loose, because we didn't, nobody knew nobody knew what was going on. We didn't know I didn't know if they had other people they were looking at or whatever. So I kind of kept a very open mind about it. And I'm still doing all my raw stuff too. So that kind of kept me balanced in the head there, And I remember I was home and I was working a lot, my regular job that I was doing at the time. And I remember them going, all right, well, you can do pick a couple of old Metal Church tunes, one from Mike, one from Dave, and that you want to do. And I was like, now, of course, that took me a minute because I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, the obvious would be, for the Mike stuff, we've got to do Badlands because there's always going to be in the set. But with David, for me, I was like, man, what do I go with this? I picked Metal Church because it was always my favorite song, and they hadn't played that live since Ronnie was in the band.
Wow.
So I was like, well, I mean, that'll pretty much cover the spectrum of what's going on. So I remember I get the demo of the stuff, and I start to do it, and there's a big difference when you're singing in your room, messing around, to actually putting it down on tape and analyzing it. And now it's an audition. It changes the game, And I was like, ooh. I remember going, wow, this is did I take on more than I could chew here? And I'm like, I don't know. I go, well, obviously it's a totally different monster here. And I have to approach it as such. And I remember I did the first couple of runs, and I before I would send it to Kurt, I let Stet and I let Steve hear it just to kind of get what do you think? Where should I go? Should I try to do it like the record? You don't know. You don't know what they're looking for,
Yeah.
And
So
I just remember them going,
I'm sorry to interrupt. This was a recording you were doing to send to them? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like an audition tape.
Yeah, audition tape. Yep.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, and I wanted to keep it simple. I wasn't, I was going to go and do all kinds of crazy production. That's fake, So I remember I did Badlands, and which is weird because Mike Howe is not my style at all. So that took a lot longer because I'm feeling my way through it because it was new to me. You know what I mean? But I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try to do it as authentic as possible just to get the point across. If I get the gig, that'll be a work in progress. We'll fine tune it there, but kind of just serving its purpose. And I didn't want to take forever because then the audition process passes. Kind of hit it while it's hot. But then when I get to the Metal Church tune, I'm like, okay. Now what can I do? So interestingly enough, I did two versions. I did a version that was very David Wayne-ish copy, and then I did my version.
Okay.
Because those guys are like, you got to do your own version of it. And I'm like, okay. I sent them all to, finally felt confident, and I sent them all to Kurt, and he loved it. I was like, okay, cool. So the next phase was like, now writing.
Yeah.
Now in my mind, I was like, oh, well, Kurt's always been the chief writer. So I kind of went in with the mentality of, kind of knowing that in my mind, I was only going to be able to do a certain amount. I didn't really know what the parameters were, what were the parameters of this. So when he had sent me one tune, and it was, it was pretty rocking. It wasn't metalish per se, but it was definitely it was rocking,
Okay.
And at first I was like, well, not really what I expected. I was kind of like hoping it was going to be more like, like Battalions or something, and I was like, all right, well, I had to kind of sit back, and I'm like, how am I going to do this? I'm like, here I am writing for a Metal Church now. It's not writing Marc Lopes or Rasta Boss or Let Us Pray or whatever. I have to kind of get into this new mentality. And I kind of didn't really want to go too much into it. I was like, look, I'm just going to do what I want, what I can do with this, and kind of go with it. And that song was Violent Thrills on the record. That was the very first song. And it was great. It came out really cool. I was very happy about it. So he's like, all right, well, here, try another one. Okay. And he goes, well, this is where it gets interesting. He goes, here's all the songs that I had ready for the next record with Mike. I'm like, okay. I'm listening, and I'm like, this is not metal. I'm like, I don't know what I'm like. All right, well, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to grab the heaviest thing that we got here, and let me see what I can do with it. So I grabbed the heavier of the next one, and I did that one, and that ended up, being really cool. And long story short, I ended up doing 3 tunes, and 2 of them are on the record, and then one was a bonus track. And I wish it wouldn't have been a bonus track. I don't know how it ended up as a bonus track, but that's a long story. But the rest of the tunes, I remember going, look, I'm going to stat, and I'm kind of like a little tweaked out going, dude, I'm like, these tunes are cool. I go, but my style of vocals, it's not going to fit this. It's mellow. It's rock and roll, hard rock metal type of stuff, which in itself is great. I mean, it's killer. But for me, now I'm getting worried.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, because I'm an authentic person. I will not do something I am not into. That's just how I am. I've turned down many, many, many gigs, even bigger bands. I am not into it. I can't sing it if I'm not into it. That's just how I am.
Fair.
And for better or worse, that's just how it is. And I remember, I was talking to Kurt like every day, and I started, like, when I started doing the other couple of tunes, I started going, you know what? I'm going to sing my way. And if it works, it works. He'll tell me. And I was singing nasty. I was doing my thing. So finally one day he goes, I've been thinking, I think I'm going to have to write a batch of new tunes. He goes, that fit your voice. He goes, because we had talked about, like, I was like, if we're going to do this, we got to come out firing like hard. We got to come out hard, because if you don't, and you don't hit them the first time in the face, nothing's going to matter because the first impression will be everything. That's what I kept saying. The first impression will be everything. I'm talking as a fan. Right. You know what I mean? Because if I'm a guy on the outside looking in at this, if they don't come out kicking my ass, I'm not sold.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
he was open to that.
That conversation was happening, you know?
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, let me work on some stuff. Now I'm on the road with Ross as we're doing this, and he's sending me these new riffs, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. You know, I'm hearing the riff for Congregation and Pick a God and Pray, and I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. Now we're talking. You know what I mean? So that got me super excited, and we pretty much rewrote the whole record anew from that point out. Now there was some stuff that, you know, remained on from the older stuff that we rearranged, and we worked it to work for me, and which worked out very well. But the amount of thought that went into the record on my end was immense. I studied everything, every little thing that I could pick up on all the stuff that I loved. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, what makes this machine tick? You know, I'm like, what are these little nuances? And, you know, I wasn't sitting there going, all right, well, that's going to be like this and that's going to be like that. No, it was a mental note, you know? Yeah. And I remember Start the Fire. I mean, this was a joke. I was like, you know, I'm going to use Start the Fire as the template because that was always like, I always think live. I'm like, all right, what metal church songs do you see the crowd respond more? Because I mean, I come from the Ross camp and everything's sing along at a Ross show, which makes it the best time ever because we're just singing Hail and Kill and all this other stuff. And that's what makes it really fun. So the Start the Fire was, you know, start the fire. Yeah. And I was like, so that kind of was the motto that I was going with going into doing this record. I want to kind of like make it anthemic in that sense, you know. Pick a God and Pray was the first one. You know, that's why the whole Pick a God and Pray. Now, and that's where that whole formula started. Yeah. And we just, you know, next thing you know, again, I'm kind of going on here, but the next thing you know is that at the end of the day, I wrote every song with Kurt. Kurt has never done that before with anybody. Wow. And I thought for sure, like after like maybe 4 or 5 songs, it was going to be like, all right, well, you know, I'm going to write the rest. Yeah. And he was like, nah, dude, I love it. Keep going. I'm like, okay. Wow. You know, and then here we are. The whole record's done. And I'm like, shit. And I just wrote the whole record. Wow. I go, well, Kurt, if no one likes it, you can blame me.
It's really cool that he was that receptive to you being a new guy stepping into some big time shoes. I mean, he's got a reputation and a brand to protect, and he put that much trust in you. And then, was very receptive to your creative input and tailoring the music to your voice, which you do more naturally. That's pretty incredible that he was willing to do that.
I feel
you touched on something real quick. I want to take a quick detour and then we'll come back to this. But of course. You mentioned that you had turned down some bigger bands.
Uh-oh.
I can't say.
You can't say?
Nah.
Okay. I
can't get into that. But yeah, there was definitely some interesting things from other camps, and very much flattered. But I'm an honest cat. You know, like I can't. There's just certain things that I just won't. I just don't feel like. I mean, I could probably do it once, but if I had to do that for a living, I don't know if I would be okay with that, just because that's just how I am. Yeah. You know, I'm a genuine person, and, you know, everyone's like, well, you know, you go out there and you're singing all these Manowar tunes and they're goofy. And I go, well, yeah, but see, here's the best part. I grew up with that and I love it. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter to me. Yeah. I can sing about riding on motorcycles and riding steel horses all fucking day because it's fun, because that's what I genuinely love it. You know what I mean? That's why I can do it. You know what I mean? So there's well,
so that heavy metal cheese factor is makes it a lot of fun. If you take yourself too serious, you're fucking up.
Yeah,
You're
like
down.
for instance, I can't like when we're doing covers sometimes, like if there was a song that said the word baby, I would change it. I can't fucking stand that. I'm like, I'm not singing nothing baby. What is that? I'm like, that's horrible.
Guilty. Guilty.
No, it's okay though. I mean, but for me, I was just like, I'm not singing that. No way.
When you're now that you're a member of Metal Church and you go out and you tour like you have, is this the first time you've toured at this level? And if so, for this length of time and for these size shows, mainly the length of time, is it the first time you've gone out on runs that are this long? And if so, no.
The Ross the Boss stuff was brutal.
Yeah. Okay. So I was curious as to how this compared to that in terms of being on the road, if this was a new adjustment for you or if it sort of mirrored your experience with Ross the Boss.
Some of it's mirrored, but I mean, the Metal Church camp is definitely, we have it a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Being on the road for us, because it's a next level thing.
Sure.
So we're able to do some stuff that I didn't have the pleasure of being able to do before, and, but I will say, if you ever had to get, the hardcore training of being on the road, the Ross gig could not have taught me any better from the word go when I joined that in 2016. It was hard. It had been hard. I mean, doing 8 or 9 shows in a row, singing at that level. I remember calling up my agent and going, dude, you ever do that again? I will come over there and personally rip your throat out. I'm like, that is just insane.
What's the most?
But I did it.
What's the most you've done in a row? How many shows 9. In a row? 9. That's as many
headlining shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've done 28 in a row.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how old are you?
It's not smart. It was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if somebody said, hey, if you had to, obviously, I'm not a pussy. I will definitely do it. Would I want to? Do you want to?
No, it's not. I don't think it's smart. I think it's inhuman. No. I think that you're just showing off. I think that it's just,
it's not healthy.
It's a little bit aggro. I don't know what a band is trying to prove by doing that. People do it all the fucking time. It's fucking crazy.
Well, you see a lot of the heavier bands do that, and nothing but respect and love for that.
Yeah.
That's a different animal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's a different animal. You know what I mean?
Is.
I don't care. I mean, I know how to sing those style too. You know what I mean?
In every aspect, you could call it a different animal by attitude, by budget.
Yep. Yes.
Sometimes you have to play every night to buy a new pair of socks.
Yep.
Whatever it is that you need, the only way you're going to get it is, well, we don't have a gig tomorrow. How are we going to? We don't have any gas. Whatever.
Exactly. How are we getting there?
Whatever the dichotomy might be. Whatever a new day every day. So
right. Yeah, and I mean, and then those are a lot of things that like up and comers don't understand.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah. And they don't. I always say, because everybody has like a different. They have most people have a very glamorous concept of what we do, and they only see the hour or so we're up there.
Yeah,
right.
They don't know that we're in the back of a van with our knees up to our face, fucking traveling for 6 hours, and then you got to go play, and you absolutely like hate everything.
Right. They don't know how
smile and go, okay, people, let's have a good time.
They don't know how dirty your underwear is.
Don't go there. Using the sink to wash your underwear.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's like roughing it. It's like camping. It's like roughing it. Mountain men. Yeah.
I remember when we first did a bus tour, I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
That's kind
of course,
what
it was
I
like
getting at
no
earlier.
going back after that, because it was like, yeah, well, I could play, and as soon as I'm done playing, I go to bed.
Yeah.
It's cool. Everybody can party. I don't care. I went to bed.
Yeah.
Up the next day. Cool. Next town. Great. Oh, wow. There's a washing machine at the facility. Go do the laundry. Big day. Get to do the laundry. Take a shower. Oh, this is amazing. You know,
Those little things. Yeah.
it's true. It's true. You know, like now I mean, we've had a couple of little interesting spots, but we're rebuilding the business and the brand of the band. So there's we have different people working with us now, and there's been some things, that have been cool. And there's been a couple of things like, oh, we won't do that again, but everybody's been super awesome about it and very professional about it. And, they get fixed and everything's been really great. I mean, we just played Malta, and I was like a vacation. I was like, oh, we have to play. Oh, okay, cool, man. Wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Like,
because of the
going
treatment.
through the ruins of 15th century Templar knights and stuff.
Wow.
Oh, I have to go play. This doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned, again, I want to go back to, I'm curious now because Kurt was so receptive to your input on this current album, Congregation of Annihilation. Do you see, like, moving forward, looking ahead to the next record, do you feel like he's going to be looking at you as more of a sort of a guidepost and maybe he'll sort of support it? Or is he still going to be, I mean, I know he'll always be the driving force.
Yeah.
But do you feel like he's relying on you to carry a heavier load in the studio the next time, since it worked so well this time?
Well, I think for the next record, you're going to see even more band
collaboration.
Yeah, because this record went together very strangely because of circumstances and distances and stuff like that. So you'll definitely will see us getting in rooms together when the foundations of things are together and jamming it out and actually going and performing, all the basics together and getting that whole kind of, me and Kurt had talked about that a lot. We're like, boy, we miss kind of getting in the same room and jamming, and we want to definitely bring that element to head on the next record to an aspect. Me personally, I'm a mad scientist. You have to leave me in my lab and I will come out with what I have.
Yeah.
And that's how we do it. And that's how I've always worked, even with Ross, like let me go in my lab and I will come out. Here's what I have. And then we'll go from there. That's just how I always have worked. It's how my mind works, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love to jam and stuff. And I mean, great ideas definitely come from jamming and stuff, but I still, at the end of the day, need to go in my lab and, put the formulas together and see what clicks,
I think it's important for you to, sorry to interrupt, your process and whatever works is respected by your guys. So there's no doubt, obviously, because I mean, it's right here. So obviously that works.
Right.
When you go in, where you guys are all there in a room, old school style, there's got to be some kind of tape machine. You got to record.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Play that again, and you hit play, and you do some dummy words and whatever, and then you have that bit. Okay, that's going to the lab with me. Put that in my pocket. And once you get a bunch of that shit, you Frankenstein. You next thing you know, you're writing a song from jams.
Right. Exactly. Which, gosh, I mean, I haven't done that in so long. I look forward to doing that again.
It's a thing, isn't it?
And of course, too. Now, when we did the record, this is great. Do you realize when I did the record, I had never met Kurt or Rick in person. I only had talked to Kurt on the phone, and I never met Rick until the first day of rehearsals.
Yeah.
It was wild, man.
I've made records like that. There's people I've made more than one record with I've never met. Still, it's fucked up, man.
Yeah, and I'm like, here I am going to play, like, start a tour with these dudes I've never met. It's just like, that's why the whole first thing was just so wild. I'm like, I don't even know these guys. I'm rooming with them, and and it was crazy, but hey, all great, all beginnings have wild stories,
Hey, it's nice to meet you. 1, 2, curtains open. All right, wow. I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Yeah. Who are you again?
The singer dude.
Oh, by the way, that you missed that note. Oh,
yeah.
Who were you again?
Yeah, what was your name? Yeah. Hey, dude, you missed that note. Sorry, I forgot your name already. Wow, shit is real though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And now that we're a family.
Yeah.
These are my dudes. We have a great group of people we work with. It's all family. It's great to be able to have meetings now, and everybody is just, transparent, and, there's no ill wills about anything, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And you just want to get the job done and everybody to be happy and cool with each other. And, and that's going to be really amazing going into doing another record. And I look
this
forward.
This lineup is fucking strong.
It's definitely,
just gonna say, man,
it's working. It's working. Yes. It's really, and Kurt's very happy. You know what I mean? And it's nice to see, somebody that's been doing it for as long as he has, and the trials and tribulations the band's been through. He's smiling. Yeah. He's happy. And when I look over, it's still wild for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, here I am singing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's
still wild, man. It's sometimes I'll look back and it's the logo, and I'm like, yeah.
Do you sort of like put that in there with that feeling like, oh shit, Merciless Onslaught, I'm gonna get in the front row and headbang.
Dude, I keep telling, can you guys play Merciless Onslaught?
Yeah.
I'm like, I could use a break and I want to go watch.
Yeah, right.
It's coming.
That's the fan in you that you mentioned at the start of the show. It's like fan first. You'll always have that. And
I don't see you ever losing that, man.
Yeah. Talk about a fan moment. We were doing rehearsals in Florida, and I remember I had done, I rehearsed a set, and they were like, they wanted to go over a bunch of stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna sit out. I'm gonna hang out, So I watched rehearsal, and I'm sitting there going, wow, these guys are fucking killer. Because you don't see it that way when you're playing.
Yeah.
Because you're just worried about what you're doing. I'm watching Stat playing, and I'm like, fuck, he's doing some wild shit.
Yeah.
I'm watching everybody. I never heard. Like, I hardly ever hear Rick, because the way that we play live with the monitors, he's always low in the mix, because I really just need to hear the dominant when I'm playing live.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, that's what's going on over there. So that was fun. That was a fan moment. I'm like, hey, I'm at watching Metal Church.
What do you have in your ears, in your monitors? What do you have in your monitors? What's your preferable mix?
Kick, snare, guitar, and then in my own thing, me loud as fuck.
Right.
So I sound like I don't have to yell at myself.
Right. So you can control your
I have
gas pedal. So
setup. Yeah. I have like a portable rig that I've made, so I can, I have an ambient mic mix, so I can kind of get a vibe of the stage, so not the audience. I have it facing the stage, so I can get like a stage vibe going.
Oh yeah.
And then
I call that a talk back.
Yeah, I get the only thing I get now from the house monitor in-ear mix, because 90% of the times it's a horror show if you ever try to get an in-ear mix from the monitor dude.
Yeah.
So I just get the drums now. I get the drums.
Yeah. Okay.
Snare dominant, because I need to hear the 2 and 4. I've come to find out, because if I hear kicks, it's like, whoa, sounds like somebody's falling down the stairs.
Right.
Now I get the snare pounded. So it's just like if I have that, especially songs like Psycho and Congregation and all these things that are fast, if I don't hear that 4, I'm fucking lost. And I've gotten lost many times because I don't know what's going on. It just sounds like, I'm like, oh boy. You know, then you're tapping when you'll see me tapping my foot. I'm like, fuck, where am I?
Trying to find,
you know,
finding the one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like finding the one, but I need to hear the 2 and the 4. I need that
Of
snap.
course. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, that's what works. And then I can adjust the guitar to make, you know, just so I have the, you know, the key and what's going on with that. It's providing everybody's in tune. That's always fun. So
So you say,
that's pretty much it.
you have your own rig. This is something that you fly with?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's is it an iPad gear thing?
Well, yeah. Well, what it is I have a Sennheiser in-ear transmitter unit,
okay,
and
right.
I have a Sennheiser microphone unit as well.
Yeah.
And I have that in a single rack.
Yeah.
And then what I do, I have a second space for the antennas to face the front. And then I have a Behringer digital mixer, small.
Okay.
And my iPad can either run the digital mixer or the mixer can run independently.
Right.
And then it all fits into a small carry-on case. Yep.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to have to talk to you off camera about that mixer.
Oh, dude, it's the best.
I went to Germany with just, I just let them mix my ears.
Oh, yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't have, there were so many things that I wish could have happened that didn't happen. And because there's no sound check, as you're well aware, there's no sound check at these festivals.
That setup was a nightmare.
Yeah.
If I didn't have my in-ears, my own,
yeah,
I would have been in the dark.
You mean your mixer?
My mixer stuff.
You mean your rig? Oh, I get
my
it.
rig. If I did not have my rig with me, that gig would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
Because those guys were like, they couldn't hear nothing themselves.
Yeah.
So I was lucky. I stood in front of the drums. I made sure I can hear the guitar. I played with one in and one out because that's how bad it was.
Yep.
I had my vocals in here just enough to be comfortable. And I remember looking out because I know Stet was sick. Kurt wasn't feeling well. The beginning of it was an absolute shit show trying to get things set up. And I looked at the audience and it was packed, 5,000 strong. And I'm like, well, let's have fun with this one, kid, because this is all we're going to be able to do. So let's make the best of it. And it ended up being a phenomenal show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm learning that when you let things go, they end up being better than you could anticipate,
Yeah, that whole thinking about it too much and trying to cook it to where it tastes just perfect that's a fantasy.
Yeah. I'm learning that all too well now.
But,
I'm trying to psychologically get myself in that headspace too. You know what I mean?
Of course. I like your approach because I relate to it because I am kind of a MacGyver and I travel with a confidence monitor for my lyrics. I have a rack that's almost identical to, my confidence monitor, my teleprompter, if you will, is because I'm in 1,000 bands.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know
Me,
lyrics.
It's a security blanket now.
Totally. And that's fine.
Well, because I have mild dyslexia. So what happens is, like, for instance, a song like Watch the Children Pray. I sometimes will take the verses and put them out of order.
Wow. Okay.
The way that I see things.
Yeah.
And I use that to keep me in check. Like, I only need to see the first words.
So you have
I'll look at it and go, okay, yeah.
You have some kind of prop that helps you?
Yeah, it's just my it's my iPad that runs the mixer, but it also I have a teleprompter thing in it with a little pedal, a wireless pedal that I use to change.
Yeah, I have the same shit. I don't know if you saw me walking off with my rig as I passed you. Yeah.
I saw everything.
Shit, yeah. But, you have almost the exact same, as far as gear, I have the Shure ears, but I bet we have a similar Sennheiser mic. I bet it's that same. It's probably the
935.
Yeah, I have the 835, so.
Okay.
Yeah. I have this shit that John Bush has.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, your Ross the Boss gig, what were you, Let Us Pray, how long has that project been around? That band, I'm sorry to call it a project. And then when does Ross the Boss call you? And how much?
The Let's
Go
Pray
ahead.
stuff had been around for a long time.
Okay.
And it took a long time to get the first record out because we were actually in negotiation. We had gotten offered to deal with Century Media. We had gotten offers from Nuclear Blast, and we were doing all this stuff. Everything was really, really cool. And then it fell through. The business can happen. And I wasn't doing anything but that at the time. So it really killed me because I put so much work into it. So we ended up, going with a smaller independent label. And I kind of at that time was just like, I pretty much had given up, so to say.
Don't do that.
Well, at the time,
Yeah.
I had given up at the time, so to say. I mean, I don't even know how to give up. I said I gave up, but I never gave up. That was just me being mad for the day or something.
Okay.
And I just remember, I was like, well, this is really cool, and we'll, I'll keep trying the best as I can. And we were opening up we opened up for Metal Church.
Let Us Pray in Metal Church. Imagine that.
Yeah, and Doro Pesh. Yeah, and that was at the Vault.
Okay,
played.
All right.
So that was wild, right? And then we had all these really cool things happening, and then like it all fell through. We were working with Zeus, producer.
Yeah.
Everything fell through. We tried everything we could, and it just, they decided to go with other bands. By the way, didn't end up doing anything. Just saying. Hint, guys. I remember. It's funny. I remember I had a Judas Priest tribute band at the same time. I told you that, and I had just stopped drinking. I had gone like cold turkey, and my whole life was just changing, so I was doing that, and
congratulations.
I was everything. Thank you. And I was just playing anywhere that I could. And I just keep my brain occupied from all the other things. Cause everything, there was no more partying. There was no more hanging out. It was just strictly playing, getting my life together. And then, I had remembered it's just wild. There's this dude back home. He's in his at the time he was the late 60s, 70s, and he has an AC/DC tribute band who's amazing. This guy's just like,
you told me about him.
Yeah, he's like the fucking man. You know what I mean? He's just the man. He's like the local legend, the man. And
what's his name?
Bob Conti.
Okay.
Yeah, he plays it's a AC/DC tribute band called Dirty Deeds.
Okay.
And
from New England.
Yeah, phenomenal. I mean, now they play they sell out 5,000 seat amphitheaters and play at NASCAR events. I'm bigger than ever. He's 71, and he sounds better than ever. I laugh. We'll be doing stuff. He'll hit these. I'm like, dude. I'm like, what are you doing? And I was, so I remember him coming up to me. And he was like, I was telling him, like, yeah, he's like, dude, he goes, nah, man, he goes, you're young. He goes, there's good things coming to you. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. That's cool. Thanks. A month later, I got the Ross gig, and I was like, fuck, wow. Okay. This is wild. And, that obviously that's a whole story in itself. That was a huge trial and tribulation. I mean, I almost quit that whole thing because Manowar fans were just brutal, fucking brutal.
So it did happen. You did get kind of roasted a little bit too much to where you were wanting to
still do. It's great.
Well, do you
at that time it wasn't cool.
You keep right. So you keep at that. Well, it sounds like you've acclimated to that situation quite well with now you're the replacement singer. You know what I mean? And I get that, fully get that. So it's not like you have your eyes on the exit door all the fucking time now. You can relax a little bit more. Yeah. So
I mean, the thing is that I came to the point where I was like, look, I do what I do. And, I know in my heart that I do all these things with nothing but respect. I love it just as much as the fans. I am a fan. You know what I mean? But I'm not Eric Adams. I'm not David Wayne. I'm not Mike Howe. I'm not anybody else but myself.
I'm not John Bush, and I'm not Udo, and I'm not John Bush.
Exactly.
And I'm not Mark Tornillo.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And here's another thing that's weird. I've turned down some pretty big fucking names too.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean?
I've just blabbed about it too much, like you. I respect you that you didn't blab, even though Dave over here wanted you to.
Yeah,
I know. No, I could never.
So I respect.
Yeah,
that.
And once I kind of got into that mindset, it was interesting because, for a long time with the Raw stuff, it was brutal. And then once I changed my mindset and I was like, you know what, man, I'm just going to do this how I feel. It started to work. You know what I mean? And of course and I get it. And the funny thing is, this has always been my favorite. I always said, look, I'm not in Manowar. I play with Ross. Ross isn't in Manowar.
Right.
Manowar still exists. Go see Manowar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you want to come see Ross play the stuff that he was part of and our version of it, then this is what we got. We're going to give you a great show. We're going to have a lot of fun. And this is the interpretation that we're going to give you. It's going to be ferocious. It's going to be nasty. And if you like it, cool. If not, then hey, man, Manowar's playing probably next week. Go check it out. You know what I mean? I would love to go with you. I'm honest. You know what I mean? I mean, Eric Adams was one of my favorite singers of all fucking time.
Yeah, the dude is.
Would I even try to attempt to say I could do it? No, man, dude, he's an anomaly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's an older cat too, not to just pause and give some Eric Adams worship, but why the fuck not? He's an older dude too, and it's just effortless.
Dude, I was just watching a video of them the other day from like 94 in Greece going, fuck me. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, but every time like I watch that, I'm learning. I'm like, what am I grabbing from this? Same thing with watching the old 1986 David Wayne stuff. I'm like, what am I grasping from it? You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not watching it just going, I'm like, what can I get from that, man? Because these guys are the masters. Yes. What am I going to learn here? Always learning. What can I do better? You know what I mean? Because
those guys are right in there with the Rob Halfords and the fucking Glenn Hugheses and all those motherfuckers. All of them. Yeah.
I'll bring this up. Carl Albert, Vicious Rumors. Dude, I came across a video of him playing opening for Metal Church. How ironic. Right before he passed away. Holy shit. I watched that. I had never seen it. And I was like, I got some work to do. I'm like, wow. I was like, dude, this guy was way, way, way too good and nobody knew who he was. What the fuck?
It's terrible.
Horrible,
terrible.
Dude. Horrible.
It's the irony is thick here, just to pause again, because it's just the convo here is sick. Ronnie's in Vicious Rumors now.
No, he's gone.
Oh, he's not in Vicious Rumors anymore.
He quit.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, right after Metal Church, one of my bands, Igniter, played with Vicious Rumors with Ronnie. So I actually got to converse with Ronnie and hang out with those guys for a second. But Vicious Rumors is kind of a next kind of a thing, but still a legacy band.
Yeah.
Legacy band.
Never got their due. Ronnie's great. Ronnie's great, man. He's great. What he does, he's great, man.
Yeah.
And he actually reached out to me, which I thought was super fucking cool.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
And really, really cool. I appreciated that. Nothing but respect. Well,
I think everyone's championing you. You're wait, real quick. Let's backpedal. Sorry for the fumble. Okay. How did you get the Ross the Boss gig again?
That's funny. I was hanging out with the guys in Death Angel, and
nice.
we were hanging out, and a guy that works for them had a band, and they were opening for Rasta Boss, and they needed a fill-in for the gig. And I was like, and he was like, oh, we do Accept and Queensryche and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, okay, cool. And it was in Long Island. I had never played that territory. So I said, what the hell? I might as well go out. And, it was at the time where I'm trying to do as much as possible. So
how far is Long Island from your house in New Bedford?
About 4 hours.
All right. That's like going to Dallas or some shit for me. Yeah.
Okay. And he goes, and I was like, wow, I've never seen Rasta Boss live. I go, this is going to be really fun, because I love old Manowar.
Fuck yeah.
So, I went and did the gig, and Ross sounded fucking killer. The guy that he had singing with him was fucking great. He sounded a lot like Eric Adams. He didn't look the part, which was kind of weird. He kind of looked like he should have been in a rap band or something, which was really weird. No disrespect, but he was a great singer, but it was just the look. It was kind of odd, But they were killer. But I remember that Ross was such a wank that night. I remember I met him and I was like, wow, this guy's a dick.
Uh-oh.
That's my joke. I tell him that all the time. He goes, I don't remember that. I'm like, of course you don't remember that.
What did he do?
I don't even remember. It was just kind of like, he was just wicked attitude and kind of like, felt like it was acting like it was 1986 and he was playing the Madison Square Garden or something. You know what I mean? But again, I love Ross. Don't get me wrong, dude. But it's just a funny story.
No, he's just having a day. Probably he didn't. He didn't even remember it. It was just a thing.
Exactly. It's all it's totally fun. Totally cool. And then I got a call about a week and a half later, from the dude that I had done the gig with, and like, hey, do you have your passport? Do you know the Manowar songs? And I said yes to both, and I didn't. I didn't have a passport, and I didn't know the Manowar songs. But whatever. I didn't think anything was going to come of it until it did. And then I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I got to go get my passport. At the time, thank God, it was easy to get a passport at the time. And I grabbed it right away. So I faked it till I made it on that. And then when it came to doing the tunes, those first gigs were really fucking rough because I didn't know the material. But I was just like, well, let's go. We got to do it. Here it is. I had like a week and a half to learn like 14 songs that I've never played before,
At least you had a week and a half.
Yeah. Right. What'd you have, like a day?
24 hours.
I was on a plane at 7 a.m. the day after the phone rang.
Yeah, exactly. So I hear you.
And people want to give me shit.
Oh, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, here's a day. That guy sucks. You don't know what he's doing.
I don't like to, much like you, I hate the comments on a thread. You know what I mean? Right. Because somebody's going to come in and say something and go, yeah, that dude fucked it all up. I'm like, hey, I'm not a cook.
They don't know the service.
Hey, they needed a cook. I came in and cooked.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't expect you to like the food. I learned how to cook right now. So,
and the funny thing is for that one person, there was like, a freaking gazillion other people that were just psyched that you came in and did it and it was cool.
The love, like just, this is a general statement because the love from metal fans is usually a general warming thing that has respect when they're understanding what the announcement has been.
Yeah.
If they're taking everything in and going, oh, well, that makes sense. Let's go and have a good time. That's metal fans, and that's what they're about. Right. I like how you said keyboard warriors.
Yeah, I mean, that's all they are.
But I understand about someone showing up and so-and-so, the singer they love is not there, and they got some fucking asshole up there with a microphone going, well, here goes. It's like, I don't want to see this guy audition. I want to see the shit that I paid for. Right. Yeah, that's become a whole thing, but it's part of the landscape. It's a reality, and it's better than the band having to cancel and put their crew out of work. Mic drop.
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that.
Right.
Like I remember, when you did the Armored Saint thing in Boston, I wasn't home, and I was bummed because don't get me wrong, I love John Bush, but I was like, oh man, that would have been really cool to see. And I remember a bunch of my friends went to the show and they were like, yeah, dude, that was cool, man. It was totally cool. It was, it was great to see, him coming in and doing that, and he did a cool job, and it was great. And I was like, oh man, now that's awesome, and then then here we are talking about it as friends, But I was like, but I didn't get this, I thought that was really cool that everybody
it's a small I'm coming to learn that it's fairly common, but yet it's still kind of a small club of this like overnight replacement singer because so and so got sick or can't be there, or shit. Sometimes it's a visa issue. Sometimes no passport, singer didn't show up. Hey, anybody here sing? That's pretty much what it's turned into, and it's fairly common, just as much as it's. The band canceling is kind of like,
it's a voodoo thing now.
It's expensive. Ooh, it's expensive. It's expensive to not be able to work.
Yeah, I remember, like, I had never ever canceled a show ever, and we were in Spain, and I got fucking massively sick to the point where my voice just disappeared, and that had never happened before, and I was freaked out. And I was like, I can't play. And this was like financial suicide at this point. And I was like, I can't sing. I'm like, I literally can't sing. And if I try, I'm going to hurt myself.
I think you told me this story.
Yeah.
I think you told me this story.
Yeah, they did it. They ended up playing and like just having people come up and do part songs. It was like karaoke or something.
Which band?
Ross.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, it saved the gig. I mean, it probably didn't go over very well with the promoters and all that other stuff. But I mean, it was a necessary evil. Yeah. But what we ended up doing is, I remember we had one of the opening acts. The lead singer, she was awesome, and we became friends. And I said, hey, can you come up and do a couple of these tunes? She goes, I don't, do them the best you can. Don't worry about it. I go, it's just kind of like helping. And some of the spots where I just can't do at the moment,
Let's give them some credit. What band was it?
I'm sorry. Yeah. It's, the band's called Cobra Spell.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And so she came in, and
Christina Vega from Cobra Spell.
No, she's awesome. She's awesome. Phenomenal person, phenomenal singer. She totally, came in and just kicked ass. It was great.
Sweet.
Nice. So what's on the horizon for Metal Church as far as where are you with the next album, and when will you be back on the road?
Well, to December 8th, we are playing in Santa Ana. We're doing a warm-up show, and then we're going to Australia.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yep. And then we're taking January and February off, and then I can't say exactly because it's not announced, but starting in March, we're going to start the whole next year of things. And as far as the next record, we've been talking a lot about it. I got about a list this long of ideas. We might be doing something to release before the March tour for fun. That's really freaking cool that we came up with on the bus a couple of weeks ago by accident. I'm like, dude, and Kurt's like, dude, and I'm like, let's do it. So we might do this like one fun thing that we're I'm going to say, we're going to make it happen. It's too easy not to do, and it'd be a lot of fun. And it'll be cool. And
so Metal Church is going to do the soundtrack to Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, there you
Metal
go.
Church style. I'm starting rumors here. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
She's got to be somebody's baby. Marc Lopes on vocals.
Oh, there it is, baby.
Is the tour, is it a North American tour or?
It's going to be all over. The March stuff is looking like it's going to be a US, and then we'll go to Europe, and there's talk of Canada or Mexico. We're just going to go wild. We're going to do as much as possible. And probably looking like we'll go into the end of the year, go and start to do another record. So,
wow.
Yep.
Look for you.
Yeah, we're gonna. The fires are hot, and we're just gonna keep it burning.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I got the Let Us Pray record funny thing about the Let Us Pray stuff is because every time I go to do the record, I get pulled. Like we were finishing up our second record, and then Metal Church called. So I had to take a whole year to do nothing but Metal Church. So that kind of sucked.
Right.
As far as the Let Us Pray stuff goes. But then what happened is my guitar player is like this genius prodigy. And we end up with, we have 50 something songs. And I'm like,
wow.
Well, what the fuck? I don't even, and then, every time we start to do something better comes. Well, let's do that.
Wow.
So, so like right now I think we got like 11 songs tracked musically, no vocals because I haven't had time. Now, mind you, I write and arrange all the music. I write all the drums, all the keyboards, everything. So I spent all the time that I did have doing all that. So I never even got to the vocals. So that's what I'm working on now. And of course, while I'm working on that, he's writing up more songs. And I'm like, God. So now what we kind of decided to do is I'm like, look,
a box set.
We're just going to release songs because I can't compartmentalize a whole record right now because it's too overwhelming in my brain. So I'm just breaking it down in segments now.
Yeah.
And then of course, Ross is calling and we're going to Australia in March, right before I start the Metal Church tour.
Right.
And, we're way overdue for another record. So we're already talking about that.
So you're just like kicking so much ass right now because you have to.
I got to.
You have to because the phone's ringing. You got songs to write. You got gigs to play. You got records to make. Man, I gotta say, Mark, it has been such a just on a personal level because I'm a singer and just when I heard your voice, dude, I don't know what to say, man. I'm beside myself, dude.
That's
you're
a huge compliment coming from you. Trust me.
Come on now, you
much,
got
man.
you sure, dude. But just upon our accidental meeting, isn't that a King Diamond song? I just feel like cut from the same cloth kind of thing.
Oh yeah, we hit it off right away.
It was
we've been friends for years already. It was wild.
It's pretty weird, and it's like we're kind of telling some of the same stories, and it's like fuck, that's so bizarre. So when I told Dave all about all of that, and then it's just been real easy to get to know you, and I just appreciate you very much.
Likewise, dude. Likewise, so much, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, I can't wait. Now I'm like, we can't wait to do now when we get to play together. It's even going to be that much cooler. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it'll be like, dude,
what's up? Man, come and jam. Let's do a tune.
Yeah. Cool.
That's awesome. Mark, thank you for your time today. It's been great for me to get to know you as well. And the new album sounds great. Congregation of Annihilation, the new Metal Church record. Folks need to go out there and check it out. Mark is doing a fine job carrying on the legacy of Metal Church. And look for Ross the Boss at some point in the future. And Metal Church on the road in 2024. Hope to see you in Texas.
And a new Let Us Pray record, I promise, is coming out next year.
Let Us Pray as well. There you go. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. On behalf of my co-host, Jason McMaster, I'm Metal Dave Glessner, along with our special guest today, Marc Lopes on the Talk Louder podcast.